Michael Craig. Some of the names in our first opening round here at Houston. David Villeman gets the bead on everyone. Can he hold it? Villeman, our leader.
No question about it. He had a clean-cut hole shot. He separated himself from the pack. It's already unbelievable the speed this guy has.
A battle of Hondas right behind him. Number 18 is Brock Sellards. 21, Tortelli. And number 5 is Mike LaRocco.
Pretty decent start for LaRocco. He's already in the top 4, which would put him right in the main event. He gets stronger as the race progresses, and what a great start for Sellards, who just came up short right there, lost his timing. Still held the position, though. Let's take a look at the start. Villeman gets out of there. Unbelievable. He starts to pitch that bike sideways. He owns that first corner. Right back on the power right there and just distances himself so he doesn't have to worry about banging elbows with people through the whoop section.
Villeman got the whole shot, led every lap at San Diego. And last week, after a 6th place start, ran down that leader, Jeremy McGrath, leading the last 2 laps, but that's all it counts. Sebastian Tortelli, a fellow Frenchman, making the move on Sellards.
Look at the difference in timing through that section. Sellards jumping all the way over the plateau, but it's not enough.
Sebastian taking the inside move and goes into 2nd place.
I get the feeling, Art, that Sellards is just not intimidated by these guys anymore. He tries a different timing right there.
Here comes Sellards right back. LaRocco's behind these two.
LaRocco doesn't have any room. These guys are taking up the whole racetrack.
Remember, the top 4 advance to the main event. Damon Huffman is on the bubble as we take a look at the battle with the Hondas.
Check out LaRocco behind these guys. He approaches the whoop section. Pops into the picture right there. Better timing. He's gaining.
LaRocco tries the block pass. Sebastian slips it.
If Mike wanted to go in there and be a little more aggressive, he could have made that pass. Probably doesn't want to take any chances just yet. I don't think he'll be patient following Sellards around this entire heat race. If he has that opportunity again, I think he's going to go in there and bump him.
LaRocco off the podium for the first time in the first 4 rounds last week when he placed 4th.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of passing down that straightaway and through that corner all night because of the difference in timing. If you don't get off the first couple of jumps just right, it changes everything down the straightaway.
Here's our leader, number 934, Team Yamaha's David Villeman. Boy, he looks as confident as ever, and why not after 2 wins?
He's on a roll right now, and as much as Jeremy McGrath in the next heat has to prove, I believe Villeman has just as much to prove. Whichever of those 2 guys leaves here ahead of the other, it's really going to be a big story for the rest of this series.
Sebastian Tortelli, number 21, has a tough time of it. Brock Sellards tries to make the move. Here comes Sellards. Sebastian not wanting to bump him that time.
These guys are giving Sellards a little bit of a break. He's riding hard with them. I think they respect this kid. He's a 125 East rider just trying to get some experience in the 250. Maybe surprising him just a little bit.
Brock Sellards in 2nd place now behind Villeman with Sebastian Tortelli right on his heels. But you're right about that, David. He opens up his 125 Eastern season next week in Indianapolis.
Well, he's going to be feeling like he can muscle that 125 around after riding this 250 all this time because he's muscling this around now.
You see it, 4 laps to go, and the battle for 2nd is still fierce.
Here they come down the straightaway. Watch Sellards' timing.
Bobbles a bit. Here comes Tortelli. Oh, back and forth we go. Little tough box action. Picks up a cover.
Yeah, that could get stuck up in the rear wheel and be a problem. It's on the opposite side of the rear brake, the disc. So it shouldn't affect his rear brake at all, but if that rear wheel sucks it up in there, God knows where it's going to go. He's unaware of it.
Not much he can do. Remember, Ezra Lusk picking up that tough box cover and having to stop.
That was just freak bad luck. I haven't seen that happen ever since. And there's been so many occasions as Tortelli starts to pull just a little bit of a lead now where those tough blocks just save these guys.
We'll see if Brock Sellards can go the distance. We'll be right back to find out. Houston Astrodome, our first qualifying session for the 250s on the evening. And here's our leader, the Frenchman, number 934, David Villemin.
And he's lost some time that last lap. He lost a second to Tortelli. So this whole pack, especially Tortelli, has really closed the gap. See if maybe Villemin made a mistake. I wasn't looking. Lost some time that time. See if he can pick it back up. These guys have him in sight now.
Brock Sellards in third. There goes LaRocco cutting in front of him. Let's see if Sellards can hold on to a qualifying position. Of the 4 previous rounds, Sellards has gone directly to the main event in 2. That's pretty good average for a 125 rider.
Doesn't happen very often. These guys got one more lap. Sellards, the mechanic, is praying that that cover doesn't get stuck up in the wheel, because that'll just mean a lot more work for him.
Was it caught in the foot peg there?
I think it's just this foot peg just speared it. And there's no way he could get it off unless he stopped and yanked it off. Can't do that now because he's got Damon Huffman right on his tail.
Damon Huffman wants to go directly to the main event. This would mark the 3rd time in 5 rounds for Huffman to be able to do that, but looks like Sellards, very determined rider.
This is where he's been having problems. And that straightaway right there coming up short. LaRocco made some mistakes that time. These guys talking about how easy the track is, but it's not as easy as it looks.
David Villemin, the checkered flag. Getting set for the second qualifying heat of the evening. Jeremy McGrath, the points leader, but not by much, as we mentioned before. Kevin Windham, Ricky Carmichael, who looked so good in practice. Tim Ferry, Jeremy's teammates in this one, along with Greg Albertine of Team Suzuki. Larry Ward, he'll be riding in this heat. Keith Voss, a very fine privateer. The board is sideways, and we're set to go for our second qualifier. Larry Ward, number 10 on the outside, hits the whoops first, but here comes Tim Ferry and Jeremy McGrath. McGrath gets bucked out by Ricky Carmichael, number 4. Ricky now in second place behind Jeremy's teammate, Tim Ferry, number 15. Larry Ward is getting challenged by Jeremy McGrath.
So much for that challenge. McGrath is already around, pulls the tear off. He's in 3rd. And the amazing thing is, he got a terrible jump out of the gate, got closed off. He almost went into the lead to the whoop section. This guy does not mess around.
Ricky Carmichael bobbling a bit. And he's got Jeremy right there to try and take advantage.
Anybody else in Jeremy's shoes going to the first corner where he was would not be in this position right now. He is so quick in that first half of lap to take advantage of anybody that may be just a little lackadaisical waiting to get into their flow. Jeremy attacks him right away.
Both Tim Ferry, number 15, and Ricky Carmichael, number 4, are coming off their best performances of the season. McGrath. Carmichael can't slip back into second place.
That may just be the fastest anyone's got to that whoop section all weekend. McGrath made a huge statement right there, and he's doing it again to his teammate.
And here comes Jeremy as Tim Ferry looks to his right. McGrath quickly in the lead. Boy, that determination that was in his eyes after the last race.
After the last 2 races, as a matter of fact, and he was so frustrated after San Diego without that front brake. He felt like he was in a fight, getting beat up with his hands tied. And then he had a little bit of a miscue with information, didn't realize Villemin was on him last week. So 2 weeks in a row, he felt he should have won. He didn't. He's out here to prove he can this week.
We'll see if Tim Ferry can hold on to second. He took second in the opening heat of the year in Anaheim. But Ricky Carmichael might have something to say about that. Jeremy McGrath has won every heat so far this year. Here's the battle for fourth. Greg Albertine and Kevin Windham, number 14.
Kevin puts a good block pass on him, and Albertine came right back. Thought he might have him back, but Kevin just cut off the opportunity.
Kevin Windham moves into the transfer spot, the fourth position. Ricky Carmichael makes the pass.
Something's wrong with Ferry, it looks like right now.
Yes, he's pulling off and slowing down as Ricky Carmichael comes over the finish line jump with Kevin Windham right behind him and Greg Albertine. So Larry Ward is on the bubble right now. Here's our leader, Jeremy McGrath. When we return to the Houston Astrodome, we'll see the checkers flying. Welcome back as Toyota Trucks presents EA Sports Supercross from Houston's Astrodome. Our leader is Jeremy McGrath, but Ricky Carmichael's been able to pick some time up on him, David.
He has, and it surprised me a little bit because Jeremy got out of the lead so quickly and separated himself, turned a 54-second lap time, the fastest all day on my watch. And Carmichael's closing the gap a little bit. So Ricky is motivated. He does not want to see Jeremy pull away. He wants to let him know between now and the main event, you better be thinking about him because he's got the speed tonight.
This great 125 rider who's now trying to make the transition to 250s is taking it a step at a time, but a step in the right direction in getting his first podium last week. Now in second place in this qualifying heat. This would be, with the exception of the winner last week, winning his heat, his best performance in a qualifier.
He messed up his timing right there. They've been tripling through there and then tripling into the corner. Kevin didn't do it that lap either. Jeremy did, so he's going to pull that gap open again. A 54-second lap time, that last lap for Jeremy, so he dipped back under the 55. These guys turned to 55, and that's the difference. Jeremy opening up the lead.
McGrath saying he was surprised when he was caught and passed by Milliman last week. Came back with a vengeance, saying it's not going to happen again.
If you watch him ride, he is so aggressive. Watch him this whoop section. Just takes off in there. Flag's waving. He doesn't care. He'll steer around it. The guy just stays on the tops of those things. Every lap consistent the same way.
Let's go down to Davey.
Guys, you were trying to figure out what happened to Tim Ferry when he pulled off the side of the track. His entire rear brake assembly fell off. It looked like he got hit in one of those corners. Tim Ferry's going to have to go to the semi.
Well, he must have been hit. That's no reflection on Jerry Chambers, his wrencher, because he's one of the best. As we take a look at Ricky Carmichael in second place.
Look at the body English he used. That's beautiful. He sits down in the air, puts his leg out. He's already ready for the corner before he even gets there. A neat little trick Jeff Ward used to do. One of the shorter riders on the circuit. Carmichael, very similar to Jeff Ward's build. He can get away with that.
White flag is out. Jeremy McGrath in the last lap was only 6/100ths of a second faster than Carmichael. But Jeremy now on a slick pace.
He's feeling it. He knows he has enough of a lead to win this thing. The crowd is going crazy, and he's letting him know he appreciates it. He has a timing down that straightaway that he's able to do every lap. These guys haven't figured it out yet. That's an advantage for him. There's faster ways down that straightaway, but you can't do it consistent. Jeremy doesn't like to take big chances. He wants to do things fast enough and smooth enough. He can do it all the race.
Jeremy approaches the checkers and captures his 5th straight qualifying heat victory in the year 2000. Making a statement this time is Jeremy McGrath as Ricky Carmichael sails across in second. On the Honda results page, Jeremy McGrath, followed by Ricky Carmichael, Kevin Windham, and Greg Albertine, the top 4, getting the transfer directly to the main event. Let's go down to Davey.
Man, Jeremy, you look like you wanted to win that one bad. I know it's been a tough week. A lot of speculation about last week on PaceSupercross.com all week long. A lot was made of that, but you come out here firing. Yeah, you know, Houston here, I feel really good. The dirt's really good. And, you know, after last week, I just went home. I had a lot of time to think, and I trained really hard. And I just want to give myself 20 hard laps. And that was 8. We got 20 more to go.
What about Villeman? He won the heat race in front of you. Did you watch him at all?
Yeah, I was watching David a lot. And, you know, you got to hand it to him. He's a great rider, and he's come a long ways over this offseason. And, you know, I mean, I get to ride with him every day, so I see what he's doing. And he's picking it up really fast, and, you know, hats off to him. He rode a great race.
Right on. We'll look for you, too, in the main.
All right, thanks a lot. I just need a little better start. I think I can do a little better than that.
His mechanic, Randy Lawrence, just off to the right there, is there to assist him. Let's review the Honda starting lineup sheet. Two-time winners McGrath and Villeman right next to each other at the gate. Ricky Carmichael got the 3rd pick of the gate positions.
Well, McGrath just went out and just set this blazing pace, went right into the lead from a horrible start, made a huge statement, and all of a sudden, I figured that was pretty much it, and all of a sudden Carmichael closed the gap, so that was a statement as well. He's letting Jeremy know, hey, however fast you're going to go tonight, I can match that, but see if he can do it for 20 full laps.
As the field, there's 934, David Villeman, right next to Jeremy McGrath. Starting to rev things up. Number 21 is Sebastian Tortelli. McGrath a 2-point lead on Villeman in the points. LaRocco 8 points back. Windham and Carmichael also in the top 5. Rocking back and forth. The board is up. The 32nd board is up. We're set now for round number 5 of EA Sports Supercross from the Houston Astrodome.
See, most of the good riders, Jeremy, Villeman, the 2 hot shots, all the hot properties are lined up pretty close to the inside.
A massive chase. And it's Jeremy McGrath getting the whole shot with Ricky Carmichael in 2nd. Ward in 3rd. And Greg Albertine on Team Suzuki. Number 7 just got in front of Ward for 3rd. So the Yahoo Sports whole shot award goes to Jeremy McGrath. That's his first whole shot of the year.
Well, he just took command, and that first corner was right back on the power. He looked like a dirt tracker going through there. Watch again. It doesn't look like he has the whole shot right at first, but he just gets that power. He actually bumps Sellards. Watch him right here. He lays it into the corner. Back on the power right there. Carmichael hung right with him.
Back to the live action. You see Jeremy already starting to pull away from Ricky Carmichael. He started with a 1.1 second lead, and now he's got it almost up to 2. Carmichael's got Greg Albertine behind him and Larry Ward, and they're separating themselves from David Villeman.
Well, Villeman has proved he can come from behind. He gets better as the race wears on, but I don't think this track plays into that kind of favor as what he was able to do in Phoenix as well. It's not going to tear up as much, and what Villeman was really able to do well was pick different lines once the track deteriorated. Here it's going to hold up pretty good. Everyone's going to run basically the same pace throughout the race.
There's Ward, number 10, riding with Payne, and Villeman right behind him. Villeman got a 6th place start in the last race.
He was behind Greg Albertine for seemed like over half the race. Once he got around, he was able to close the gap pretty fast. That's going to happen again if he plans on catching Jeremy.
Villeman. Boy, he hits that rut perfect.
You have to. It's inches out here. 1 inch to the right, 1 inch to the left. You don't hit the line you want. Messes up your timing all the way down the straightaway. These guys have to be precise to go this fast.
Winner of the shortened FIM Supercross Series. He just continues to ride well.
You can see McGrath going the other way in that shot. Villeman coming into the corner. Jeremy knows where he sits. I think Carmichael is going as fast as he absolutely can, and he is not able to stay with McGrath.
McGrath has got a 6.6 second lead on Villeman. Villeman in 5th. There's Jeremy. Bound and determined coming into this Astrodome to recapture the Supercross momentum that he had after the first 2 rounds at Anaheim.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to speak very publicly about he really should have won San Diego, but had he not had some front brake troubles. He really feels like if he'd have known about Villemin, he could have won last week. That put a lot of pressure on him to come out here and win this time. I don't know if he did that on purpose or what, but he is definitely living up to it.
Ricky Carmichael trying to hold on to his best finish, which would be second.
He's picking up where he left off in the heat race, 54-second lap times.
Something tells me that Jeremy McGrath is not going to settle into a pace here tonight.
He'll never do that again, unless he's got a 20-second lead, and I just don't think in the field that's assembled this year for this 2000 series, he's ever going to have that luxury. Carmichael is actually hanging right there. You see him coming into the corner. He hasn't lost much time. This will give Ricky a big boost of confidence, and he's been training extra hard, knowing that he came into Anaheim thinking he was pretty close to being in the right kind of shape. It was a big wake-up call, dropping all the way to 8th, and he's been working really hard with O'Mara ever since. It's showing right now.
Larry Ward is trying to move up for 3rd place against Greg Albertine. And I got to hand it to Ward. He started the season with a sore back. He crashed in San Diego and cracked a rib and hurt his arm. And here he is battling just 2 weeks later.
Well, all he's got to do is move around Greg, and he's on the podium right behind his teammate. Put a couple Kawasaki's up there to get a little momentum over in that camp. Larry's beaten Albertine before. Just got to try to remember those times. Just go after him, and he better hurry because Villemin's coming. Starting to close that gap a little bit.
Endurance might be a factor with Ward.
I'll tell you what, Art, it's a factor with everybody. It's a matter of how smooth you ride. You know, you look at Kevin Windham. He's talking about how he's in great shape. He's able to put in laps at intensity at the Honda track, 25 lap mains. But in a race, it's different.
Greg Albertine has been putting in lap after lap at Stefan Roncada's track. He's been training very hard lately.
Nerves. Well, that's what happened to Tim Ferry last week. He pulled out to a big lead. We saw that freight train battle of all the best riders in the world chasing him and closing the gap a little bit. He got nervous. His arms got tight. He couldn't ride his best. He dropped pretty far back in the field.
Larry Ward trying to make a move in the whoops. Larry's so good in the whoops, using his height advantage.
It looks to me like he's perhaps a little bit faster than Albie right now in some spots. And if he can get around, he'd be able to pull away. Albie's still riding a fine race.
Ward hasn't been on the podium yet this year. Bar to bar we go. Albertine and Ward. Ward gets the inside block pass.
That's just close. You know, Albie had to ride through there and just thread that needle, try not to hit any of those tough blocks, or Larry.
Our leader, Jeremy McGrath, look at this flawless style. Cuts the berm perfect. Goes through the whoops like they're not even there. It's McGrath, Carmichael, and Ward are top 3 with Villemin in 5th. We'll be back in a moment. RC's looking good in 2nd, but the battle is for 3rd with number 10, Larry Ward, riding with a broken rib, trying to hold off his former teammate here, Greg Albertine, number 7. And we see Villemin also trying to make a move on Albie. Here's Villemin to the inside. Villemin makes the pass. Can he make it stick? Yes, he does. So Villemin moves up another notch to 4th place. The Cobra, as he's known in France, has put together a great comeback already this season. That was last week, surprising McGrath, but I don't think he's going to surprise Jeremy this week. He's got his sights on 2 Kawasaki's now.
You can see in that shot, just at the end of the whoop section, Carmichael going through the corner. So Villemin in some sections on the racetrack has him in sight. He doesn't have to look at the pit board to know where he is. That always gives you a little extra inspiration, knowing you can gauge from lap to lap, see if you're gaining or not.
One thing is a fact, though, he's not going to surprise Jeremy McGrath one way or another here tonight. But he's only 2 points behind. Check out the pass once again.
Well, he just comes around the inside right there. takes away the line of Greg Albertine, cuts right in front of him to make sure he can't come back on him. Greg's still riding a fine race. As a matter of fact, the way he started out the season, he looked a little shaky. His timing didn't look very good. He's made a nice rebound, getting good starts and starting to run up front with these guys. As soon as he does that, gets comfortable, he'll be able to stay there a lot longer.
Villeman now chasing down Larry Ward for a podium spot. Villeman right now in a save as many points as you can situation. He trails Jeremy McGrath by more than 12 seconds.
Well, after watching what happened in the past couple of races with Villeman, fitness is not an issue. It is a little bit of an issue with Ward with the injuries he's had. And we've seen Carmichael fade a little bit in the last 6 or 7 laps. So it's not out of the question that Villeman could still end up in second place in this race, but he's going to have to ride awesome to catch Carmichael if he can get around Larry Ward.
Tries the inside, shows the wheel, look out! Can't quite get Larry Ward on that one. The seasoned veteran who's had 3 decades of 250 racing, Larry Ward, is not letting Villeman by easily.
You can see Villeman is being very patient. This kid is so smart. It takes so much intelligence to be able to win a Supercross. It's not just speed. You got to be smart. Right there, he had a couple of chances to get in there, bump Larry, but I don't think he had enough of an edge on him to really make it stick. Both of them could have lost more time, or one of them could have gone down.
A battle for third. Larry Ward not only wanting to save that podium spot, but he's looking at his best finish ever in Houston.
Look at the Cobra, they call him. Villeman just cutting every corner a little bit tighter. Watch this.
Villeman moves into third place.
I mean, Larry knew he was coming there, but the problem is down that straightaway, it's so hard to get through there and jump all those obstacles. I don't think Larry was comfortable to move over to the left side of the straightaway and try something new midway into the main event.
Larry's had his problems this year, starting second in the opener and drifting back to 9th in other similar situations.
A little bit better timing, jumps all the way up over that extra jump into the corner. Just shaves off about 10 feet of racetrack. And he didn't have to go fast to do it. It's just a better line. Now the question is, can he catch Carmichael, Art?
That's a big question with 9 laps remaining.
That's a lap longer than a heat race. So much can happen in one of those. It's very possible.
He's about 7 seconds in back of it. Boy, would that be a ride. Let's check it out. Stay focused. Chad Watts telling Ricky Carmichael.
He put that 56-second lap time up there to try to keep him focused on something other than who's back there. Just race yourself, race the track. The problem with that 56-second lap time is it's a second slower than Jeremy and a second slower than Villeman.
With McGrath now dominating and Ricky Carmichael number 4 in second. Let's go down to Davey.
David Bailey's exactly right. David Villeman is the odd man out right now, the guy moving up, and Carmichael knows he's there because the lap before, his mechanic Chad Watts put out Villeman coming.
Well, that'll make you nervous. He's got a pretty good lead, but remember McGrath had about this same lead halfway into the main event last week, and still wasn't enough. And we're talking about Jeremy McGrath. Look at that. Doesn't even have to put his feet down. Just incredible balance. You can watch his body and just tell exactly what he means to do.
A reminder right now with this excitement underway, if you can't make it to the Supercross races, check in with PaceSupercross.com. They get the live webcast underway every race, and you, the fans, can call in after the race with questions. In fact, when I was on that show a couple of weeks ago, Ezra Lusk, who was in Georgia, called in to say, hey, I enjoyed the webcast.
Everyone's listening in.
Our leader, Jeremy McGrath. What a job he's done. He came back just like he said.
He's been struggling on the start this year, too. He started out pretty good in Anaheim, but then it kind of went south from there. San Diego was terrible. Last week wasn't much better. He knew what he needed to do. The start is the main thing, and Jeremy, at times, I've talked to Skip Norfolk in the past, his mechanic while he was at Honda. And Jeremy will set his bike up for the start sometimes, even if it means he loses a little bit out there on the racetrack. If the percentages are in the start, that's where he'll set the suspension up so he gets off the line with the maximum amount of traction and no wheelers.
McGrath has won 4 races here in Houston prior. If he wins this one, he would tie Bob Hanna and Mark Barnett as the winningest rider in this great traditional venue called the Astrodome. They've had an event every year here since 1974. 35 races, including several doubleheaders. And Jeremy McGrath has not had the benefit of a doubleheader win here in the Astrodome. Bob Hanna did. So did Mark Barnett.
Well, I followed Hanna to one of those. I got second. I'll tell you what, at that time in my career, I was just stoked to be in second behind him. And I think right now, Carmichael, in one sense, would really like to be able to beat this guy, but staying as close to him for as long as he has in this race is a step better than last week. So he's got to be pretty happy.
Carmichael looking for a second-place finish. That would be his best of the season. We'll be right back, and the checkers should wave in just a few minutes.
When Suzuki.
Welcome back as Toyota Trucks presents EA Sports Supercross from Houston. Jeremy McGrath, #1, is on his way to winning his 3rd race of the season, his 63rd career victory. He's on course to become the all-time winningest Yamaha rider. He's already the winningest Honda rider, of course. But should he win this race right here, it would be his 18th win on a Yamaha. Bob Hanna is the current Yamaha leader, career leader, with 20 Supercross victories. Now, this continues to be Yamaha's greatest start on a season as well. Jeremy getting around Heath Voss, the privateer. RC is looking pretty good in second place, picking up the pace.
Yeah, Carmichael did pick up a second that time. You'll see him just enter that picture in the green going by. Jeremy is starting to put it into the cruise mode, which with the lead that he has should be enough. Carmichael did pick it up a second that lap, gain on Jeremy, but not close enough to really bother him. He did pull away from Billaman, and that's really starting to impress me. Carmichael has worked hard on his fitness, and I talked about it showing now about 5 laps ago. No, now it's really starting to show. This is where he's starting to get tired.
Hey, talking about Ricky Carmichael, David, I have a question for you. He looks so much more mature and patient this week than he has in the past. What does that mean to a rider when he gets on the podium for the first time like Ricky did last week?
Well, you just have that clear picture of, I know what it takes now. And anytime you visualize, which a lot of these guys do, the race beforehand, you've got a clear picture of what it takes. You know that your training is working, that you're on the right track. You just keep doing the same things, but you have a little bit more confidence.
Well, Carmichael's riding with a lot of confidence right now, that's for sure. He's in second place, looking for his best finish of the year. And here in third place, 934, David Villeman. Villeman is looking for his 4th podium of the year.
Well, this will be a fine ride, but it's 17 seconds or so behind, or like 13 seconds right there behind Jeremy. 17 back to Albertine. I think at this point, these guys are pretty tired. Things are pretty separated. He's just going to have to take this and try to get a better start next time. As fast as everyone is now in these top 4 or 5 spots each week, you just can't afford to get off the line 7th or 8th and just work your way up.
Boy, look at the style of Villeman.
You see him looking over there on the triple. Well, I'm not gaining, so maybe I'm just going to have to settle for this 3rd. Still jumps that triple. Cuts the corner a little bit tighter. I really like that about this guy. He gets into corners and he doesn't waste any time getting out in that powder and the bumps. He cuts it early. It's right back out on the power.
Riders on Yamahas have never won 4 races in a row to start the season before. But now they're on the verge of winning their 5th as we check out the battle for 5th place. Larry Ward and Mike LaRocco. Ward has ridden very tough. Here's Jeremy McGrath. Last lap for Jeremy.
You Those fans are looking for that patented knack-knack. They may get one here coming up. Here comes the triple.
The winningest rider in history, the defending and 6-time Supercross champion. You might surprise him once, but you're not going to surprise him a second time.
Well, if things can stay the way they are, Jeremy will have done exactly what he said. He will prove that he is the best, the fastest, and he'll extend that point lead. 5 more points on Villemin.
He will add to his points lead, obviously. And the checkers are out. And the checkers are starting to wave for Jeremy McGrath. His 3rd victory of the season. His 63rd career Supercross victory. And David, it's looking like Sherman's marched through the Supercross season for Yamaha.
So LaRocco did get around Larry Ward that final lap. LaRocco just came out of nowhere. You see Carmichael to tell Larry Ward there, hey, good job, teammate. But as soon as Carmichael went across the finish line, and he looked as though he'd won the race. He was happy that he stayed up there that long. He knows that what he's doing is paying off. Not quite as good as McGrath, but he's happy.
And the two shake hands. Great sportsmanship between those two riders. Ricky Carmichael's got to be very proud of his best Supercross finish on a 250. Checking out the Honda results page, McGrath, Carmichael, Villemin. There you go. We'll be right back to the Astrodome to hear from our great winner and the runner-up in a moment.
All right, Jeremy, way to get back out there and reestablish yourself as the man to beat. What a great 20 laps.
Yeah, Davey, this week, you know, after last week's race, I was kind of thinking about it a little bit on early in the week, and I trained really hard this week. Talked to Gary Samek, we went over a few things, and just kept my head down, kept focused, and you know, it's been a long week, but now that makes it a little better.
Well, I tell you what, that was one of the best starts we've seen you get in a long, long time. You just hit the ground running.
Yeah, well, Bridgestone tires are working excellent out there. You know, we went with a little bit less knob this week because my bike was getting a little traction, and you know, I got to thank the guys at Yamaha. We did a lot of work this week on the bike, and of course, Chaparral, Mazda, Yamaha, Cornwell Tools, 800 Collect, No Fear, Bell Helmets, Alpine Star, CTI Brace. You know, everyone's been there. Revenge, my mechanic Randy, Dave, Larry, everyone on the team.
What an excellent performance here in the Astrodome.
Thanks a lot. That one I'll dedicate to Jimmy Button.
Oh, that was terrific. Jimmy Button on the mend after a tragic accident just 2 weeks ago. There's Ann McGrath, his mother, his entire family, such great supporters of Jeremy McGrath throughout his career. The crew from Yamaha now has won 5 in a